Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. Here we are wrapping up the October 2025 episodes today with a personal story and then some strong collective energy for all of us. Today it is about the threads of our witch's web, and I am so happy you are here with me for it. Okay, before we stir the cauldron and get into today's topic, I've got a few quick, sparkly notes to share. And guess what? Guess what? We've hit some new numbers, my friends, on Instagram, on Patreon, and right here with our growing podcast family. Whichever little corner you are actually listening from, I don't know, something magical is happening. There is this buzz in the air, little bit of traction rolling in, and honestly, I am over here doing a happy dance in my kitchen. And I can tell you, your comments, your messages, your shares, well, they light me up like a witch's lantern on a dark October night. Every time one pops up, I get that little fluttery, ooh, they're here, they're here with me feeling. I don't know exactly what shifted recently, but I do know this. It is your energy that is making the difference. Your involvement, your word of mouth, your willingness to sprinkle a little of this witchy goodness into your own circles. That is what is helping us grow. And I just want you to know how deeply, truly grateful I am. Every comment, every message, every time one of you shares an episode or mentions Witchy Work Wishes to a friend, it matters more than you probably realize. When I see your words pop up, it's not just a notification. It's a reminder that we are all weaving this web together. That the stories and spells and little bits of magic we talk about here, well, they are landing in real lives, real hearts. I do not take that for granted, not 1 second. This isn't just my podcast, it's our podcast. You are a part of this energy. You help carry it out into the world. And honestly, that fills me with the kind of gratitude that, like kind of catches in your throat a little bit. So instead of tucking a thank you at the very end like I do sometimes, I want to start here with a full, warm, hearth-lit thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for helping this space grow in the most organic, magical way. You are the reason this little witchy corner is thriving, and I am so thankful to be here with you. Okay, now recently I talked about Kaliak. She is one of the deities that I associate with Samhain. And when doing research on her, I was even more drawn to her energy. I instantly wanted more. I think I mentioned how I am also drawn to the Morrigan. But Kaliak, I don't know, she stayed with me for a while after recording that episode 2 weeks back. Now, if you didn't listen to our Samhain episode, quick recap is that Kaliak is like a winter hag. She's the veiled one, the ancient goddess of storms and mountains and snow. In Celtic and Gaelic folklore, Kaliak rules the land through the winter months. She shapes the landscape with her staff. She stirs the tempests, and she ushers in the long, quiet season. She is not, gentle in the way springtime goddesses are. No, she's fierce. She's ancient. She's wise and utterly unapologetic. She is the cracking ice on the river, the biting wind that just takes your breath away. She is the skeletal trees that are silhouetted against a pale winter sky. She is the force that strips away what is no longer needed, leaving only what is strong enough to endure. Kaliak's presence begins, to rise around Samhain, growing in power for sure, through the dark months until she finally passes her mantle to Brigid at Imbolc, when, those first signs of spring begin to stir. In this way, I think she embodies the deep rest and powerful stillness of winter, the necessary descent before renewal. This happens to be my most favorite time of the year, so I feel this connection to Kaliak. Like, I feel like it means something. Now, for many of us, working with Kaliak can be a deeply grounding and powerful practice because she reminds us to slow down, to honor the cold, to trust in the fertile silence beneath the frost. And one, I think, beautiful way to honor her and the season that she reigns over is to create a winter jar. It's going to be a little magical vessel that holds your intentions and reflections and blessings for the season. I mentioned this jar 2 weeks ago, and this is something I'm going to be doing in a couple of days. If this jar interests you too, I have some notes on what I'm going to be doing on Samhain night. It really is a jar that becomes a bit of a spiritual time capsule, something that you will open again at Imbolc when the light returns and those first hints of thaw begin to appear. What you will need is a small jar with a lid. I think a glass is going to be perfect for this, but really anything that seals is going to work. You're going to need paper and pen, a candle. Preferably, I'd go for a blue, white, or silver one. Think of those winter colors that she embodies. You're going to need some seasonal herbs or items too. Think of like rosemary, pine needles, bay leaves even, juniper, maybe some dried orange peel, cloves, even a sprinkle of snow or frost collected from outside would be amazing. You'll also need a ribbon or a piece of yarn to tie around the jar. Again, kind of go with your winter colors if you can. Blue, gray, or white are going to be great. Now, this, of course, does not have to be done on Samhain night. I think any cold night would work. But ideally, you're going to want to do this somewhere between Samhain and the first true frost in your area. Maybe you've already had it, so you're still in the right timing. But light your candle. Take a moment to call in Kaliak's energy. You might say, her name aloud, maybe whisper a simple greeting, or just, visualize the craggy mountains and swirling winter winds that she commands. Feel the quiet, feel the strength, feel the, stillness just settle around you. Then take your pen and paper, write down what you want to carry with you through winter. This could include maybe intentions, right? Something that you want to nurture slowly during the dark months. Maybe it includes qualities you want to cultivate: stillness, endurance, creativity, rest, wisdom. It could include ancestors, guides, deities that you wish to honor during the season too. But it also could include just, personal blessings for your home, your health, or your spiritual practice. You can also include a line or two about what you are releasing into the winter, letting, Kaliak's fierce winds sweep away what's ready to go dormant. Fill the jar. Fold your paper, place it in the jar, add your herbs and natural items one by one, speaking their purpose as you do. If you're using rosemary, you could say, rosemary for remembrance, pine for strength, bay for vision. But do it one by one. Be intentional. Each addition is a thread woven into your personal winter spell. When it feels complete, close the jar and seal it with intention. And then we're going to bless and store it. Do something like, hold the jar in your hands and just speak a blessing to Kaliak. You could say, Kaliak, old woman of winter, keeper of the storm and stone, bless this jar through the dark months. Keep these intentions under your throne. Tie the ribbon or yarn around the jar's neck and then place it somewhere, special but safe. On an altar, tucked near your hearth, or a windowsill where, you can see the winter sky. And then next year, we are going to open it at Imbolc. When Imbolc arrives, I would light a candle for Bridget and Caliac both, honoring the handover of the seasons. Open your jar and read the intentions you placed inside months before. Reflect on, what winter taught you. Some things may have quietly blossomed beneath the surface. Others actually might have totally shifted, like entirely shifted. This is a time of gentle awakening, like little snowdrops pushing through the frozen ground. Burn or bury anything that you are ready to release, and carry forward what still feels alive. This act closes the seasonal loop from the, veiled one's reign to the first whispers of spring. I have to say, I'm really, really excited to get to know Caliac more. I think working with her and crafting a winter jar is less about maybe like doing and more about being. It is a spell of patience for sure, endurance, that quiet trust. And I think through her, we can learn that not everything grows under blazing sun. Some magic brews best in the hush of winter nights, beneath that heavy quilt of snow. This little jar becomes a bridge of seasons, or can. It can become a bridge across the seasons, a thread connecting Samhain's descent into Imbolc's emergence. And when you open it months from now, you are going to meet a version of yourself who sat in candlelight at the edge of winter and whispered hopes into the cold. Okay, for today, before we dive in, I would love for you just to kind of take a moment to be here, wherever you are. Maybe you are stirring your morning coffee, maybe you're out for a walk, or maybe you've tucked yourself into a cozy corner with candles lit. This is our time together. Go ahead, grab your journal, maybe your favorite pen, or just open your heart. Light a candle if you have one. I've got one right next to me as we speak. But wrap yourself in a shawl or sweater, something that just makes you feel held. Because today we are stepping into the web, the shimmering, ancient network that connects us to each other, to our ancestors, to the land beneath our feet, and to the threads of magic that we weave through time itself. This isn't just a story time episode. It is a journey. It's a weaving. And as we gather here, just 2 days before Samhain, when, of course, the veil is at its thinnest, the air is thick with signs. It has whispers and a bunch of ancestral presence. The web is alive right now, and it is waiting for us to listen. So, my friends, my witchy family, are you ready? Let's weave the threads of the witch's web together. Signs. We have been talking about them off and on all year long. What they are, what they can feel like, how to recognize them, and then what to do with the information you get, the download, the direction, and all of the amazing emotions wrapped up in all of it. Last year, literally a year ago, last October 2024, the sign I got was not one of those soft and fluffy, subtle signs. You know the ones, right? You've had them too. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's just a little nudge. Maybe it's just, nothing. But you still get a feeling, right? No, it was not one of those. This was more like a slap in the face type message. Last year, in the October Ancestry series my mom and I did, I talked about mtDNA. And it was the first time I had even heard of it. So I researched it a bit so I could mention it with the ancestry work Mom and I were talking about. But it was, in fact, front and center last October. Now, in my downtime last year, I was, of course, looking for a new series to watch on TV. I clicked on the Netflix series, A Discovery of Witches. Now, I'm on Netflix often, often. So, why this has not popped up previously, I didn't know. It came out, I think, in 2018. And it is based on the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. I believe her first book in the series is actually called A Discovery of Witches. So, short version is the core of the 3 seasons is a main character called Diana, Diana Church, who is a descendant from the first witch executed in the Salem witch trials, who was Bridget Bishop. So I click on the series and I watch the first episode. Love it. I'm in. Second episode comes up, and guess what they are talking about? mtDNA. Exactly what I was researching that time last year for our ancestry episodes. Now, if you did not listen to the episodes Mom and I did last year, mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, is the DNA located in mitochondria, which are the energy producing structures within cells. Now, unlike the nuclear DNA that is inherited from both parents, mtDNA is inherited only from the mother. Now, this is because the mitochondria in sperm are destroyed during fertilization. So only the mother's mitochondria are passed on to her children. mtDNA is much smaller than nuclear DNA and contains genes that are they're like essential for the normal functioning of mitochondria, particularly for energy production. Mutations in mtDNA can lead to various genetic disorders, especially those affecting energy-intensive organs like, the muscles and nervous system. And because mtDNA is inherited maternally and changes slowly over generations, it is also used in studies of ancestry and human evolution. It helps us trace maternal lineage, which is why we talked about it last year with our ancestry and, genealogy work. So, okay, interesting, right? I talked about mtDNA with you guys in the October 2024 episodes, and then I am drawn to a TV series about the genealogy of a witch. Okay, like a little coincidental, maybe. Certainly the fact that mtDNA comes up now, for me, the second time in a very, very short period, also interesting, but so far nothing super alarming. I am loving the episodes, but going back to this one night and this big message I got, this download of something, it was actually after I had gotten home from work. I was not super hungry, so after taking my shower and getting into my jammies, which is my instant nightly routine after letting the chickens out a bit to forage. But anyways, I grabbed a handful of saltine crackers and a Sprite just because I wasn't super hungry, but I wanted to snack on something. I curled up in my chair to relax and watch some more of this A Discovery of Witches series. Before starting, I lit 3 candles. One was a fall pumpkin type candle from the Yankee Candle Company, which was right in front of me. Now, most of us know the Yankee candles, don't we? Their scents are amazing and they last a good amount of time. They, in my opinion, are pretty sturdy candles. They have weight to them, don't they? Okay, back to my night. It was actually a Monday night, our Monday moon day of the week. And I'll be honest, I binged on the series the previous week and over the weekend. I finished season 1 and now, I was into season 2. I was curled up in my chair, watching the series and snacking on the crackers, which again, also pretty regular for me. Overall, I guess I'm a little rattled with the series, or better yet, intrigued, right? That this series never came up before, but did once I started talking about mtDNA. But there is a scene in season 2, episode 7, where the main character, Diana Bishop, begins to weave spells by drawing on the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. As you guys know, this is also one of my main areas of focus in my personal practice. During this episode, she connects deeply with her power and the magical tree known as the Rowan tree, which symbolizes, her growing connection to ancient magic. As she is learning the powers of her magic and working with the elements, the witches who are working with her circle around her to whisper the 9-knot spell. Now, in this episode, she only gets to 3 knots in this, specific scene, but the entire spell goes, "By knot of 1, the spell's begun. By knot of 2, it will come true. By knot of 3, so mote it be. By knot of 4, this power I store. By knot of 5, the spell's alive. By knot of 6, this spell I fix. By knot of 7, events I'll leaven. By knot of 8, it will be fate. By knot of 9, what's done is mine." Now, for many of us, this is one of our core spells. This incantation of ours is powerful. It's 3 sections of 3 knots, getting us to the power of 9. And we can use it when performing knot magic to bind or release energy, intentions, and, our desires. Each knot tied represents a step in the manifestation of our spell. Okay, so back to my living room. The room is dark. I have 3 candles going, and then, of course, the glow of the TV screen. One of the candles is on the side table next to me on my left. The Yankee fall candle is in the middle, straight in front of me, in between me and the TV, and the other one is on the side table to my right. I have a perfect little triangle of 3. The series is on, and again, it's season 2, episode 7, and I am looking at the screen watching the episode when my Yankee candle goes out. There is no wind. There is no breeze. The air in my living room is still. But yet, that one sturdy single candle goes out and smoke rises. That alone, alone was enough to make me pause everything. And I did. I paused the episode. I stopped everything and thought, what just happened? I knew something was stirring that wanted my full attention, and well, they got it. I acknowledged. I took account. Of course, I second-guessed myself. I actually physically got up and walked around my house to see what was going on. Was there actually a breeze somewhere that just happened to linger into the living room? Or, I don't know, was this a message? Like, what was happening? What made that candle go out with no wind or breeze? I got back into my chair. I pressed play again, and the show resumed. And this specific scene came on when she does her knot magic with the elements. On those first whispers that she makes, on that first line of, "By knot of 1 the spell's begun," I got chills. And not just chills on my arms or, like goosebumps on one little spot. My whole body, head to toe chills. The kind that actually hurts your body because the rush is so intense. As the second was whispered, "By knot of 2 it will come true," the chills and goosebumps intensified. And by the third line, when the tree showed itself, the goosebumps actually consumed like my entire whole body. Again, the rush that came over me was so intense, you guys, it actually physically hurt. Moments later, I had to run into the bathroom because I was throwing up. Now, remember, I was snacking on saltine crackers. This is what we hand out to our kids when they are sick, when they have an upset tummy. But now, like, what? I'm throwing them up? What? What is happening? What is this download of information I am getting? How in the world do I process this? Now, throwing up after a spiritual download or some type of intensive spiritual experience could have various meanings depending on our own, perspectives and beliefs. But I am honestly looking for any type of answer. Like, what in the world just happened? Was it an energetic release? Was it a spiritual download? Getting a bunch of information, insight, or energy, that can certainly overwhelm the body. And our bodies can react physically because they are just struggling, honestly, to process or integrate the intensity of the experience. I don't know, was it a sign of transition? In some of our spiritual traditions, vomiting is seen as a sign of transition or, some type of transformation. I don't know, maybe I was moving into a new phase of spiritual development, shedding some old patterns and beliefs. I'm not sure, you guys. And here we are, a year later, and I am still not sure. Now, I can't say I have been working on this for 12 months. I processed a little bit of it, at the time, and pretty much put it on the back burner. I was overwhelmed. How does it all tie in together? What does it mean? Was I supposed to be watching that specific TV series at that specific time because, I don't know, something is coming? Because of an era I'm about to jump into? Does the mtDNA play into what's happening to this download? And the scene after the rowan tree shows itself to everyone and the elemental threads intertwine like a massive, massive web. Diana's focus is broken. She turns to the crone witch and says, I want more. I want to keep going. But the crone witch says back to her, patience, Diana. Fast forward to June of this year, and I drew the Spider Spirit Oracle card for our June Patreon workings. And when drafting out the episode outline on the Spider Spirit, I actually had to do a bunch of research because spider energy is not something I normally work with. And in doing so, I was reminded of this download last October, this night of the intense message. Now, across cultures, Spider is the original weaver, right? Isn't she? She doesn't just live in a web, she creates it, thread by intentional thread. In Norse mythology, the Norns are 3 female beings who weave the fates of gods and men. A direct echo of the spider spirit's role, really, each strand representing a life, a destiny, or a connection. And honestly, in many indigenous traditions too, the grandmother spider spirit is the bringer of stories, the keeper of the world's order, and the one who spins the universe into being. Anyhow, it got me thinking about and remembering the event last October. And the memory just kept getting stronger and stronger until, well, here we are. Here we are today, a year later, and this whole month it has been just poking at me, asking me to revisit the experience. Maybe now is the time. Maybe now is when I have more tools, more like growth, more knowledge to adequately process it. So that is our journey today, the witch's web, and what it means to create the threads for it. When we speak of the witch's web, we are not just talking about, strands of silk stretched between branches or eaves. We are talking about something ancient, something invisible yet undeniably felt. I feel like the witch's web is the great shimmering network that just holds all of us. Witches, ancestors, land spirits, and even those who are yet to be born. We're all held in this living, breathing tapestry of magic. Across folklore and magical traditions, the web is more than a pretty metaphor. It is the structure through which energy, intention, and story flow. Think of it like, each of us is both a strand and a weaver. We are simultaneously the thread, the hands that place it, and the pattern that slowly emerges over time. The moment we step onto our magical path, we begin to weave, sometimes knowingly, sometimes instinctively, adding our energy to, this great unseen network. The web stretches across time and space, linking generations of witches and magical practitioners. When we stir herbs in a cauldron and light candles at our altars, when we whisper names under the moonlight, we are brushing against threads that others have spun before us. Ancestors who worked their craft in, kitchens and forests and temples and fields, well, they all left their energetic fingerprints on this web. Their spells, their prayers, their whispered dreams, they are all still vibrating through those strands. And when we add our own intentions, we are not working in isolation. We are joining a chorus that echoes through centuries. This web also connects us deeply to the, land itself. Every stone, stream, grove, and hearth is a knot in the pattern, a place where magic has pooled and taken root. I think witches have always worked in relationship with the land, listening to its spirits, honoring its cycles, and drawing on its power. Those relationships, well, they become threads too, running between human hands and ancient soil, between our breath and the wind that's been circling the globe forever. And then there are the threads that stretch forward into the future. When we teach and share, or honestly, simply live our craft with intention, I think we are weaving pathways for future practitioners to find. One day, someone may light a candle or utter a spell and unknowingly pluck a thread that you spun decades earlier. Your magic, your stories, your rituals become part of that living web, lighting the way for those yet to come. On a more personal level, these threads can represent energetic lines, cords that, connect us to people and spirits and places and moments. When two magical practitioners work together, their threads, well, they intertwine. When we send out a prayer or a spell, our intention moves through the web. It ripples. It ripples outward like vibrations across a spider's strands. Every action, no matter how small, it creates movement. A whispered blessing, a carefully tied cord, even a passing, thought sent with focus. All of it travels through the network. This is why I think we often speak of being mindful of what we weave. Because, well, the web responds. It amplifies. It remembers. It's why spells cast with clarity can echo beautifully through the network. And why tangled or careless magic can create knots that take time to untangle. The witch's web is a living thing, I believe, spun from light and intention, bound by time and soul. And I think to understand this concept is to remember that you are really never working alone. Whether you're standing in your kitchen with a cup of tea or out under a vast October sky, your thread is part of something vast, something ancient, something beautifully alive. It's one thing to talk about the witch's web as this grand, shimmering cosmic tapestry, which it is, absolutely. But it is another thing entirely to remember that we are part of that weaving. Every day, with our words, our rituals, our quite little moments, we are tending our threads. I think some of them are bright and strong, some are soft, maybe a bit frayed, and some are waiting for us to finally pick up the spindle and do a little mending. One of the most tangible, magical ways to work with this energy is through thread and cord magic. There's just something so grounding and sacred about holding yarn or ribbon in your hands and naming what it represents. It's witchcraft you can literally feel between your fingers. You might choose a strand to honor an ancestor, a friend, or maybe a protective spirit. Another to represent a new goal or intention. You can braid them together while whispering your desires or knot them slowly and rhythmically while speaking blessings. Every twist, every knot, every pull is a spell in motion. I love doing this on quiet evenings, a little, candle burning, a cup of something nearby, and a ball of soft yarn in my lap. It doesn't need to be elaborate, but it does need to be like yours. And if you're more of a journal witch, I get it. I hear you. This energy works beautifully on paper too. Grab your favorite pen and ask yourself, who is part of my magical web? What threads are calling to be strengthened or maybe to be released? Which connections have grown thin and need attention? Which are tangled and might need a little gentle untie? These questions have a way of pulling hidden truths right to the surface. Sometimes you're going to realize there is someone or something that you've been energetically holding on to that is just ready to be released. Other times, a thread maybe you thought had faded might still be shining, waiting for you to pick it back up. And moon magic, we have to add that too because it does tie in beautifully here. The waning moon is such a potent time for releasing frayed or unhealthy connections. You can take a literal strand of yarn that represents something that you're ready to let go of, knot it, name it, and then gently unravel it under the moonlight. Or maybe if you're working on strengthening bonds with, ancestors, with your own personal practice, with your own personal intuition, you can weave new cords during this phase, focusing on mending and fortifying. Imagine, like a light flowing down into your threads, sealing them with care and clarity. I think one of the most magical ways to work with the witch's web is just to weave together, literally and energetically. Imagine if all of us in this community set aside one night to weave a little piece of thread magic at the same time. Patreon family podcast listeners, kitchen witches, mountain wanderers. All of us pulling out our yarn or string, lighting our candles, and spinning our intentions at once. You can just feel the ripple that would be sent through the web. We don't even need to be in the same room, do we? The web connects us already. That's the beauty of it. Your thread and mine can touch across miles, across time zones, across lives. So I say whether you're braiding cords in your kitchen, scribbling through your thoughts, under a crescent moon, or joining a collective weaving, I would say just remember, every thread that you tend to strengthens the magic of the whole. Now, when we pause to truly look at a spider's web, not just glance at it in passing, but really, really look at it, you'll see how every thread is part of something larger. Even in its tiniest little strand, catching a sliver of autumn light that connects to other strands. If you brush one edge ever so gently, the entire structure trembles. The vibration doesn't stay where it began, it travels. It ripples outward, reaching every corner. Now, I think that is exactly how our witch's web works. Your spell, every word spoken with intention, every breath of magic, none of it happens in isolation. What we do here in our kitchens, on our porches, beneath October star-drenched skies, it moves through the web like a pulse of light. It travels unseen, connecting with threads spun long, long before us, and stretches into futures that we can only imagine. And right now, in October, the web certainly feels even more alive. Like this is the season of the thinning veil, when boundaries between our world and the spirit realm soften. It's when whispers come a little clearer, shadows carry familiar weight, and the unseen web that connects us all just shimmers like dew at dawn. Ancestors, beloved spirits, land guardians, and witches from ages past, well, they're close. They're not far away, they're not abstract. They are woven into the fabric of our daily lives. And the ancestral threads in the web are going to be some of the oldest and strongest that we have. Every ancestor who stirred a pot, spoke a prayer, planted seeds, healed wounds, whispered their hopes to the night sky. They spun their magic into the web. Their threads stretched through our bloodlines, through chosen families, through spiritual kinships. They are not passive observers on the edge of the web, right? They're part of it. They're part of the structure itself. They hold us. They steady us, and sometimes they give the strands a little nudge to remind us that they are still here. This time of year, when the air turns, crisp, the nights grow long, it is almost as if the entire web just hums with memory. It's a sacred vibration, I think, right? The ancestors are leaning in, reminding us that we are a part of a story that is much larger than our single lifetime. When we light candles, set out offerings, when we build altars with rosemary and photographs and pumpkin lit lanterns, we are not just honoring them, we are touching their threads. And when we touch those threads, I think the whole web responds. Our energy, words, our intentions, they ripple outward. A simple act, again, lighting that candle for a great grandmother you never met. Tying a cord for protection under the waning moon. Whispering blessings for those who came before. All of it travels across the web. It doesn't stop at the edge of your ritual space. It flows through ancestral lines, through those land spirits, through coven mates, through the threads of witches who once walked this earth. And here's the part that always makes my heart so well. The web stretches forward too. Future witches, maybe our descendants, maybe kindred spirits we'll never meet, will one day pluck the threads that we have woven today. The work we do in this season, especially under the veil's thinning, it strengthens pathways for, generations to follow later. This is interdependence in action. Like when your thread grows thin, the ancestors lend their strength. When you send love, that love moves through others' strands. When a fellow witch across the world stirs their cauldron or chants beneath a moonlit sky, well, your threads hum with that shared energy. None of us really ever weave alone. The witch's web holds us, past, present, and future, in one great shimmering structure. So this October, when you stand under the moon, breathe in that chill and light your candles, I'd say take a moment to feel the web around you. Imagine your thread glowing, connected to the hands of those who came before and the hearts of those who are yet to come. The season isn't just about remembering the dead. It's about recognizing that their threads are actually alive in ours. The veil may be thin, but the web is eternal. And you are a part of it. You always have been a part of it. Okay, back to last October and the download that I got. I have sat with that night a bunch recently. That intense message, that unexpected physical reaction, that undeniable something. I've started to see it not as a random moment. I mean, it never really was, but more like a vibration along the web. Like a spider sensing movement from the other side, my thread was tugged. Something wanted my attention, and like some big, big signs, it didn't arrive in a neat little package with clear instructions. It came as a jolt, a shiver through the strands, a reminder that I am part of something so much bigger than myself. But that's the thing about the witch's web. Even the softest tug on one thread can ripple through the entire structure. Our ancestors, our spirits, our future selves, the land beneath our feet, they're all woven in. Sometimes the signs come gently, right? A feather on your path, a whispered nudge in a dream, a scent that lingers a little too long. And sometimes they arrive like a candle flame that suddenly snuffs itself out in a perfectly still room. Either way, the web is moving. The message is there. The connection is real. And here's where our role as witches becomes so important. We have to pay attention. The universe, our ancestors, our spirits, they are always speaking. The web is always humming. But if we are rushing through our days disconnected, doubting our intention, we miss the whispers. We miss the flickers. We miss the little shifts that could change everything. Paying attention to signs isn't about overanalyzing every leaf that falls, every flicker of a candle, but it is about cultivating presence. It's learning to pause, even for a breath, and ask, what is this trying to tell me? It's being willing to listen without needing immediate answers. Signs, I don't think, always come with explanations. Usually they don't. Sometimes they just ask us to notice, to remember, to prepare our hearts for what's coming. The truth is, these signs, all of them, like all of the little signs, the breadcrumbs, the nudges, the big ones, they are all threads, potent little strands connecting us to guidance and lineage, to magic that's unfolding behind the scenes. When you notice a sign, it's like reaching out and giving a little tug on that thread. And often, I think something is going to tug back. And that's when the conversation begins. That's when the web lights up. This October, with the veil thinned and the air charged, well, the web is going to hum just a little bit louder. The ancestors lean closer. Their threads run right alongside ours, steady, ancient, humming with memory. They've walked these paths before us. They've cast their spells. They've tied their knots. They've whispered their truths into the night. And when moments like the one I had happen, those spine-tingling, world-pausing, heart-pounding moments, well, it's often their way, I think, of plucking the thread, again, reminding us to listen. And since none of us weave in isolation, every intention, every ritual, every quiet act of magic echoes along these strands. We send out energy, and the web responds. We ask questions, and sometimes the answers arrive in unexpected ways, like a scene in a show about witches, a tree revealing itself, a spell whispered through the television that reaches back through time and touches something buried deep inside. This is why tending to our threads matters. It's why listening matters. We're not just building something for ourselves. We are contributing to a living network that stretches through generations. Your thread touches mine. Mine touches yours. And together they are held by the threads of those who came before us. The candle going out for me wasn't random. It was a reminder. Pay attention. You are part of the web. Okay, now there is some corporate connection I want to thread, pun intended, into this episode today. Because your personal big download may have a big corporate sense to it. As of now, mine didn't. It's very personal, but that does not mean your message, your sign, your downloads when they come in are not tied to your work and corporate worlds. Because whether you're sitting in a fluorescent lit office or under a full moon, the truth remains the same, I think. Every thread connects. Every action does send a ripple, and the web hums in workplaces too. Think about it. In any workplace, there's this invisible network of connections. People, communication lines, shared energy. that's constantly being woven and rewoven. Every conversation you have, every encouraging word, every time you step in to support someone or share knowledge, you are tugging at that thread. And like always, that ripple moves. It shifts team dynamics. It influences projects. It sets the tone for how people feel in the space. Just like in our magical work, the small things matter at our jobs. One kind word, one clear direction, one grounded moment in a hectic day, all those can travel farther than you think. And let's be honest, so can the negative stuff. A careless comment, a dismissive email, a moment of unchecked frustration. Yeah, those are ripples too. Like it's all web work. And here's where it gets even richer. We have professional ancestry too. Just like our magical lineage, there are mentors and teachers and colleagues, even trailblazers in our fields who laid the groundwork for the roles we step into. Their influence is woven into, how we work and lead, how we collaborate, honestly, how we solve problems. Every time you bring a bit of wisdom into a meeting, you are pulling on those ancestral career threads too. Paying attention to signs applies here as well. In the office, a sign might not be a candle blowing out, though wouldn't that make for an interesting team meeting? But it could be patterns repeating in a project. The same feedback surfacing from different people, that gut feeling you keep ignoring? Or, I don't know, maybe it's a sudden opportunity showing up right after you've been secretly wishing for a change. Those are threads vibrating. That's the web trying to get your attention. The beauty of this, we are not separate selves. Which here, worker there, we are the web. We bring that intuitive connected awareness with us wherever we go. And when we constantly, consciously weave in, those spaces, when we listen, when we respond with intention, when we treat even mundane interactions as, part of something bigger, I believe we strengthen the structure around us. So, yes, whether you are tying magical knots under the moon or scheduling a team check in on a Tuesday afternoon, you are still weaving. You are still part of that living, breathing web. Well, so what is my next step? What can we do to process stuff like this? Well, I'll share with you what I have written out for me personally. And again, maybe if it helps me, it can help you too if something like this comes up. Ground yourself and revisit the moment intentionally. Before you analyze, interpret, or assign meaning to your message, bring yourself back to that moment when you got it. But this time from the grounded, more experienced place that you are standing in now, like I am. Try something like, lighting a candle, maybe even the same scent or, in the same season to help recreate that energetic atmosphere. You could set the intention. Like, I am revisiting this moment to understand what was given to me. Journal. Journal everything you remember. Sensations, emotions, visuals, sounds, physical reactions. Don't edit or interpret yet. Like, just write it down, get it out. This creates a clear, energetic snapshot that you can work from rather than, the fuzzy memory that's been swirling in your mind for a year. Ask yourself too, what do I remember feeling before, during, and after the download? Like, what threads feel kind of unfinished? Then identify the threads that are involved. Like the downloads, like the one I got, aren't one thing. Often they're not going to be. They're multiple threads vibrating at once. Now, in my story, I had several. So for me, it was the mtDNA, that ancestral lineage. Certainly that could mean it was one of my ancestors reaching out at this moment to, help fortify and connect my witchcraft practice. For me, it was definitely about elemental magic and knot work. There's that web, something with that web. The spider spirit element, maybe a little bit of weaving. But I also need to be very aware of the physical and energetic body reaction. Each of these could represent a different aspect of the message. By naming them, I hope I can separate out the strands so they can be examined one by one rather than being all tangled up in one big emotional knot. Ask the web to speak again, though. Again, for me personally, now that I have grown and my practice has deepened, I would like to reopen the line of communication intentionally. The original download hit like a wave, but this time I think I can choose to approach the web with patience and reverence, like the spider spirit herself. I think I need to do a not magic spell, something to reweave understanding, tie 3 knots, dedicating each to a question that I want clarified. I know I need to do some meditation on this, some visualization, where I actually just go back to that night, and ask, show me what I wasn't ready to see then. Divination session is absolutely going to be something I'm working on. For me, it's probably either going to be the tarot or the runes. You might choose a pendulum to bring in, but I want to specifically focus on what was the core message of the download. With all of this energy, I really want it to be less about demanding answers and more about letting the message just kind of unfurl now that I am who I am. 12 months later, ready to receive it with maturity and more grounding. I also though want to tend to my body's memory, my physical reaction, the chills, like the painful chills, the vomiting. It was so intense, you guys. It was crazy. Our bodies often hold the story even when our minds can't make sense of it. I believe it is wise to acknowledge and release any lingering energetic charge. I'm not sure yet what that will be, but we, as a community, we have options, don't we? A salt bath to cleanse and reset our body's energetic field. A simple breath work or grounding ritual, right? Imagining excess energy draining into the earth like roots. If it still feels big, like emotionally, we can also integrate this with some gentle movement, walking, dancing, stretching, just to remind our body that, hey, we are safe now. We can process this at our own pace. And the beautiful truth, downloads are often like seeds, aren't they? They don't bloom overnight. They sprout slowly when the soil is ready. We don't have to solve the mystery in one night. Let your journaling, your rituals, your conversations with the web just unfold in cycles. But notice if new signs, dreams, or, like synchronicities start appearing as you work. I think that is often the ancestors tugging again, saying, yes, let's keep going. You know what I might even do? I might even dedicate the waning moon to unraveling and understanding old knots, and the next new moon to setting new intentions with what I have uncovered. Maybe. I won't just give it to me. Maybe. But I do want to think about integration, not just interpretation of what happened. The meaning might not just be like intellectual. It could be a pathway opening, right? The empty DNA thread. It could be ancestral magic asking for deeper exploration. The not magic and Rowan scene, I don't know, maybe a call to elevate my elemental or weaving practice. Spider spirit, probably, perhaps. A reminder to slow down, listen, and weave with intention. Our next step isn't just like, what does this mean? It's how do I integrate what this awakened into my craft moving forward? I don't think this download came to confuse me. It came because I was ready, partially, kind of, even if not fully equipped in that moment. A year later, here I am, though. The web tugged, and now I am choosing to respond, not with fear, but with curiosity, power, and ancestral support at my back. I believe I have grown into the witch who can handle this. And you know what? Honestly, like I'm excited. Truly, for the first time since that night, this doesn't feel like a big, tangled, intimidating knot sitting at the edge of my awareness. It feels like a doorway. It feels like a thread I finally get to follow intentionally at my own pace with all the tools, growth, and grounding that I've gathered in the past 12 months. I don't need an answer right now. That's the magic of it. I get to explore. I get to walk into this like a witch setting out on a journey, lantern in hand, trusting that the path will reveal itself as I go. There's something just deeply empowering about saying, okay, Web, I'm ready to listen now. I can feel my ancestors leaning in, spider spirit humming softly, that rowan tree scene still flickering at the edges of my memory like an invitation. It's not scary anymore, but it is alive. There's a sense of anticipation, like when you pull the first thread of a new weaving and can already imagine the pattern that might emerge. This is the kind of work that changes us, not all at once, but stitch by stitch. I'm excited to journal, to light candles, to ask questions, to weave some rituals around this. I'm excited to not know for a while and honestly let the discovery be a part of the magic. Because truly, this is what being a witch is all about, isn't it? Showing up for the mystery with open hands, a curious heart, and a willingness to follow where the threads lead. All right, Samhain, here we are, just 2 days away from this magical celebration. Can you feel it? That hush in the evenings, the way the air seems to just carry whispers, the way time starts to feel like it's folding in on itself a little, like the past and present are brushing fingertips. Samhain is that turning point on the wheel where everything slows down, it deepens, and it shifts. It's the threshold moment. And this year, as we talk about threads of the witch's web, that feels even more potent to me because this is the season when the web is at its most alive. The veil is thinning. No, actually, like it's practically translucent right now. The distance between us and our ancestors, between the living and the dead, between magic and memory, it just grows paper thin. The web hums louder now. Its threads feel easier to sense, like they've been, freshly spun with moonlight, starlight, and breath. This is when the signs start stacking up. Dreams feel charged, candles flicker at just the right moments. Old memories surface out of nowhere. We catch glimpses of movement out of the corner of our eye, and we just know. It's not our imagination, it's the web. It's our ancestors, land spirits, guides, and kin on the other side plucking at those threads, just reminding us we're here. We have always been here. Samhain is the witch's new year, the great threshold. It is both an ending and a beginning. It's a time to honor the past, to remember the hands that wove the threads that we walk upon, and to set intentions for the new weaving ahead. It is the perfect moment to lean into the witch's web. Imagine this with me. On Samhain night, as the veil thins, the web stretches in every direction, through time, across lands, between realms. Every witch who lights a candle, whispers a name, ties a cord, or simply pauses to listen is a part of that great weaving. Ancestors stand behind us, future witches stand ahead, and we are in the middle, hands on the thread, choosing how to tend to it. This is the time to honor the threads behind you, those ancestral lines, spiritual kinships, and magical traditions that carried you here. Light your candles for your beloved dead. Cook a recipe passed down through your family, or simply speak their names aloud. Their threads are a part of you. This is the time to strengthen the threads around you, your living connections. friends, coven mates, community, even those who walk beside you in quiet ways. Reach out, share stories, let them know their threads matter. This is a time to clear or, release those tangled threads. Samhain is just such a great time of release. If there are cords that need to be gently unknotted, relationships or energetic ties just no longer serve, this is the season that offers powerful waning moon and thinning veil energy to lovingly let go. This is the time to cast forward new threads. Like, setting intentions at midnight on New Year's Eve. Dream about what you want to weave into your web over the coming dark months. Maybe some new magical studies, maybe some ancestral work, maybe some creative projects or business growth. Maybe, honestly, it's some personal healing. I say name it, knot it, breathe it into the web. Above all, right now, this is the time to pay attention. The signs during this liminal time are like sparkling threads that catch the light when everything else goes dark. They're not always loud. Sometimes they're whispers, but they're there. A song on the wind, a dream that lingers, a sudden thought that just won't let go. This is when our job as witches is to slow down enough to notice. Trace those threads back and ask, who's calling? What is being shown to me? Samhain isn't just about bonfires and costumes and pumpkins, though let's be real, I love all of that too. It is about remembering. It is about standing at the center of the web and recognizing that you are a part of something much vaster than your single strand. Your ancestors are woven into this. Your future self is woven into this. Your magic, your whispers, your signs, your stories, they are all something that move along this ancient, shimmering structure that connects us all. So as someone approaches, 2 days away here, I encourage you to take some time to sit with your thread, light a candle, close your eyes, breathe, just listen. Ask your ancestors to speak through the web. Ask the spider spirit energy to show you what needs weaving next. Ask your future self what threads she's grateful you started now. This is the moment. The air is charged, the veil is thin, and at Samhain, the web is alive. I do have a poem for you today, and of course the moon update for her waxing energy of Samhain. I'm going to go grab those notes, and I will be right back. Okay, I spent some time on this poem, and I hope it resonates with you as much as it does with me. And it goes. By knot of one, the spell's begun. A thread is cast, the work's not done. Through whispered winds and autumn's chill, the web awakens, soft and still. By knot of two, it will come true. The veil grows thin, the night breaks through. Ancestors stir where shadows creep, their voices rise from roots so deep. By knot of three, so mote it be, the web now hums through land and tree. Across the threads the signs unfold, their stories shimmer, brave and bold. Samhain's breath drifts through the air, a liminal night beyond compare. Candles flicker, spirits near, their threads entwine with ours this year. We weave with hearts both strong and clear, through shadow's gate we do not fear. Past and future hand in hand, our magic binds across the land. 3 knots are tied, the circle spun, 1,000 threads become as one. In spider's web and ancestor's flame, we weave our spell, we speak their name. By knot of one, by knot of two, by knot of three our power grew. On Samhain's night the web shall sing, of death, of life, of everything. Okay, my witchy family, what is everyone doing for Samhain. Our moon is waxing for this festival on our Wheel of the Year. Actually, she's getting full. The full moon is only a week away. When someone falls under a waxing moon, I think we are offered something a little different, a kind of cosmic yes and moment. Someone's energy is usually about endings, remembrance, and descent. But with the waxing moon rising, the universe is, I don't know, kind of saying honor the past and build what comes next, all at the same time. The waxing moon is all about growth and attraction. It's about expansion and intention setting. It is that fertile period after the new moon when seeds start to sprout, when energy is rising towards fullness. Combine that with Samhain's thin veil and ancestral currents, I think we get an incredibly potent window for weaving future magic with ancestral power. What can we do during this waxing moon on Samhain? Well, I think some intention weaving with ancestral support is going to be pretty strong. Samhain is when our ancestors lean in close. And during a waxing moon, their support can help grow and, fortify what we are calling in. So sit at your ancestor altar or simple candlelit space, right? Speak your intentions aloud and imagine your ancestors adding their threads to your weaving. You can write intentions on small, strips of paper, roll or braid them with red, black, or even white thread. Those are kind of like our traditional ancestor colors. And knot them 3 times, invoking the knot of 3 spell to bind your future goals to their wisdom. Think of it kind of like, I honor where I've come from and I weave where I am going. I think it's going to be a great night and evening for some ancestral seed magic too, because waxing moons are, for growth. This is going to be a wonderful time to plant seeds, again, literal or symbolic, that are charged with Samhain's liminal power. Write a personal goal or magical intention on a biodegradable paper or bay leaf. Plant it in soil, a pot, in your garden, even at the base of a sacred tree. Asking your ancestors, though, to nourish it as it grows. And then each night of the waxing moon, pour a little water over the soil while speaking a line of intention. This mirrors the lunar buildup with physical growth. And I think this works especially well for any of us who are growing new practices, new businesses, or some community work. You are essentially saying, ancestors, hey, bless the path ahead. I think this waxing moon and Samhain energy is going to be great for some candle magic for new weavings. Candle magic can be incredibly strong because both the moon and the veil are just amplifying energy right now. Use white, maybe some like silver candles for clarity. Go orange and black to honor Samhain's balance of light and shadow. Carve intentions into the candle. Anoint with a simple oil. Even, honestly, olive oil works great. And as the candle burns, visualize your desires taking root in the web of the world. With your ancestors, of course, holding the strands steady. And hey, tie a thread around the base of the candle. 1 knot for the past, 1 knot for the present, and 1 knot for the future. Watch the flame dance as your web is woven. This is also going to be a great time to bridge the veil with some journaling or like scrying. This is kind of a unique moon phase. So it is a perfect time for ancestor communication that's going to be future oriented. Ask questions like, hey, what gifts am I meant to grow this coming year? Or maybe ask, what ancestral skills want to reawaken in me? Use mirror scrying, water scrying, go to your tarot or runes under the waxing moonlight. And then journal about whatever comes through. The waxing moon will help those insights expand in the weeks to come. Think of it as, kind of opening a door, listening for whispers, and then walking forward with what you have learned. It's also going to be a good time just to do some group weaving or maybe like some coven rituals too. Because both Samhain and waxing moons emphasize connection, one ancestral, one communal type movement forward. This is the time for group spell work if you have a circle or, magical friend. Each person can bring a ribbon or thread, symbolizing what they want to weave into the coming year. Together, you can braid or weave the threads while calling on ancestors and guides to strengthen the collective web. This can be burned, knotted, hung in sacred space, or buried at the end as a living spell. This is the kind of ritual that builds spiritual community in some pretty powerful ways. A waxing moon at Samhain is, kind of like standing at a crossroads with your ancestors standing right behind you, hands on your shoulders, and the moon rising ahead like a lantern, just lighting the path forward. You are not just remembering, you are becoming. This is a time to blend remembrance with intention too, to take, the wisdom of your lineage and plant it in tomorrow's soil. The veil may be thin, but the energy is strong. It is upward. It's alive. Okay, next week. Next week is November, and I have our oracle card drawn. I am currently sitting with the energy as we speak, so I can start working on all of the magical stuff for us in Patreon. November is not going to disappoint. Not for any of us. In true witchy form, it is coming in strong. Next week, I also have the second full moon show for Hearth and Hen, which brings us another book reading. And I have the perfect one for the dark Hecate type-ish energy of November. For now, though, I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Samhain on Friday. And you know what? A great fun Halloween weekend. I will talk with you next week. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.